Now today we are going to be learning the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula is used when we are factoring numbers. So when we first learned to factor, like a few lessons ago, we learned this equation right here. Ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. We are trying to find the x. But when equations cannot be factored, such as this, and you come up with a wonky answer that doesn't make sense, that is when we use the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This equation will be stuck in your brains. So when you look at this equation, and when you know this equation, you can easily plug in the numbers for each one. So from looking at this equation compared to that one, we know that the a is equal to 9, so we can put 9 right there. We then know that b, what's in the b place, is negative 9. So b equals negative 9. And the number in the c place is 2. So we know that c equals 2. We then plug in those numbers into our quadratic formula. So then it becomes x equals negative 9 plus or minus the square root of negative 9 squared minus 4 times 9 times 2. And that is all over 2 times a, 2, 9. And now you can easily multiply. So what I like to do first, multiply what is inside the square root. And if your b does look like this, you can multiply that out as well. So this will become x equals a negative times negative 9 becomes a positive. So that'll be positive 9 plus or minus the square root, negative 9 squared also becomes a positive. So that becomes 81. Minus 9 times 2, 18. Times 4, 72. So this becomes minus 72. That's all over 2 times 9, 18. And then you can easily do this part. So that becomes x equals 9 plus or minus the square root. 81 minus 72 is 9. All over 18. Now 9 can be easily square rooted. You may have a situation where you cannot square root the number inside. That is okay. You can leave it as a square root or square root it to the best of your ability. But since 9 can be square rooted, we're going to square root it. So that becomes x equals 9 plus or minus 3 all over 18. Now, when we have factored in the past, you come up with 2 answers. That's the same for the quadratic formula. That's what this plus or minus means right here. That means that you're going to have 2 answers. In some cases, it might be a negative, or they might both be positive or both negative. At something like that, you're always going to have 2 answers. So the plus or minus means that you're going to do both 9 plus 3 over 18, as well as 9 minus 3 over 18. So, and then you could easily reduce these fractions. So 9 plus 3 over 18 becomes 12 over 18, which can be reduced into 2/3. And then 9 minus 3 over 18 becomes 6/18, which can also be reduced to 1/3. Now, these are the x. So now we know that x equals both 2/3 as well as 1/3. And that is our answer. So I hope that when you are doing your homework or when you're doing a lesson or even practicing, that you will use this to help guide your work. And on homework as well as tests, I want you to show each step, such as this one below. Because showing your steps helps you go back to see what you have gotten wrong if you don't believe that the answers are correct, and help guide your mistakes as well. Well, I hope this video taught you something, and I'll see you in class.